let's see what's going on here.
Do it. Tell me the things.
First things first. Let's talk about the Dice Tower nominations for the Games of the Year. We announced these last week. That was last week, wasn't it?
Yes.
I feel like it was last week, guys.
It was just last week?
It was just last week.
Wow.
What's happened?
We have a video that went up for that if you want to check that video out, where you can see every single one of our nominations, or we can just point you over to our website, dicetower.com, where you can see all the nominees. I'm not going to discuss them all here, but there were quite a few. It was a wonderful year, I thought, and there were a lot of very strong nominations across a plethora, and that's another good word.
It's a fun one. I'm going to use both of those later today. I don't know how. Tidbits and plethora.
You just did.
I did.
Plethora of
And it's
categories and wonderful games. So again, let's point you to dicetower.com so you can check that out. Plus all the other cool stuff we've got over there, okay?
Ooh.
So that was the nominees for the year's 16th Annual Gaming Awards.
Nice.
All right, next up, we have some other awards talk that we're going to go over here. We got the Golden Geek Awards. They had their nominations. They have quite a few nominees in each category, and they basically do their nominees for Game of the Year that fall into 3 categories. That's how they do it. They do Light Game of the Year, Medium Game of the Year, and Heavy Game of the Year. And there's, gosh, about 13, 11 entries in each of these categories. I'll just mention a couple quickly here. So for Light, Cat in the Box Deluxe Edition, that's one of them. Again, the sponsor for the video.
Okay.
Dwarf Romantic, that's one that I've been interested about or by.
Played that.
Was getting some interesting, buzz based on a video game which I haven't played with
I've done
either.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like a very clever tile laying game.
Yep.
And let's pick another one here. Well, Long Shot, the dice game.
Nice.
Wonderful dice
Oh,
game.
you like that one a lot, yeah.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
So that's some of the nominees there for Medium. I'm sorry, for Light.
For Light.
Then Medium, we've got Flamecraft, big one. Heat, Pedal to the Metal.
Interesting.
Planet Unknown,
Oof.
which is a little heavier, I would
forgot
say.
that was
but-
last year.
I think that would be a heavy, because we're all medium, right?
Well, here's some of the heavy ones, so you can have a point of reference.
Okay.
Dead Reckoning,
Okay.
Endless
Wow.
Winter, Paleo-Americans, Wayfarers of the South Tigris, Weather Machine. So certainly heavier,
Those
more
are heavy.
complicated games.
Okay, yeah.
Dead Reckoning is, I can see that. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there
it
you go.
is.
Those are the
It is.
nominees, or some of them anyway. If you want to check out the full list, you can go over to Board Game Geek and check that
So
out.
they kind of do it opposite of us. They have less categories, but more nominees in each one.
It's possible
Right.
there are other categories. I'm not certain these are the Game of the Year nominees.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But again, they have quite a few, and
I
they do
see.
break it down into three
for that.
chunks where we do not.
Okay.
Game of the Year is Game of the Year, man. All right, the Mensa Awards have been announced. These are the winners now, not just nominations. And it's a very interesting slate of games this year, I would say, that got the Mensa nod. We've got Boop. I haven't played Boop, but I've heard good things. And then Acropolis has been a critical darling so far this year. Millefiori, Garden Bow, and my favorite of all these, Trekking Through
I do like that
History.
one. Now, does Boop not just... I have not played Boop. I've played most of the other ones. It seems to stand out in that crew.
It does a little bit, from the look at least. It
Right.
might be a great game, and it might be a very mentally stimulating game, which is the idea for a Mensa winner.
That's what I was thinking. But it's just... So maybe I haven't played it, so I don't know if the strategy is that high, but that's... Because those other ones, like Millefiori, it's a brain burner.
Well, the thing about Mensa Awards is they often, because of the way they come together, discuss the games, play the games very quickly, and then sort of move on to a different table. If I understand correctly, that's kind of how they set it up. It does tend to favor games that are quicker.
Clever.
Oh,
That makes
interesting.
sense.
Okay.
And that you sit down and
yeah.
you start playing and you go, okay, this is clever, this is mentally
Interesting,
stimulating,
and then
cool,
you-
got it, I'm moving on to the next table.
Huh, okay.
So games that are longer or that are deeper, that take a while to unfurl, and that's another good word today,
nice.
unfurl, are going to not normally get the nod. And if you look at previous winners, you'll see that trend. So it's nice to see some games up here that do take a little bit more to see them come to fruition and see everything they offer. Millefiori is one of them.
Millefiori,
Right,
yeah.
Trekking through history. So it's a great slate of winners there. And so congrats
It's a
to
good span.
those games. Absolutely.
All good that I played.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to some Hello Kitty. Hello
Finally.
Kitty has got a board game that was announced from Maestro Media. This is going to launch worldwide in 2024. And as far as the game, it's designed by Roberta Taylor, who's done Creature Comforts, who's done Octopus's Garden. And this is so some of those games have a little bit more going on than you might suspect when you hear Hello Kitty.
Yeah,
That's
It's
gonna be
possible that
interesting.
this is a little bit of a more in-depth game. You know, there might be a little bit more going on that you might suspect.
Which makes sense because I don't know where Hello Kitty falls now, but I think, when we were in school, it was hot, which means it's now older.
So more civilized people will be playing.
Right. I mean, it's not, the when this was popular, I was like, what, 12, 15, something?
Right.
Something like that was kind of its heyday that I noticed. And so maybe it is that they're older. But again, I don't know. I could get yelled at a lot here. Maybe it is still wildly
I
popular.
believe it's still one of the biggest IPs in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe it's just not U.S.
Really?
so much.
Yeah, I think it's one of the
so here in the
strongest
US,
intellectual properties, like, worldwide.
It's got staying power because every time
Yeah.
you think it's over, it's like, and it's back. Yeah.
See, I
it's
don't think I've
everywhere.
not seen it in years.
Really?
I've not seen anything for it in stores and stuff.
But
I think
gotta-
you haven't been to the stores that might feature it. That might be
You've got a
it.
son
Like Hot
too.
Topic?
I have a 6-year-old
Like what?
daughter.
Like, I
and
mean,
she's
I don't have
everywhere.
a daughter. Yeah.
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 So this is going to be coming to crowdfunding in September 2023. The game will be called Hello Kitty Day at the Park. It's intended for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up. And at some point in 2024, should be at market. All right, next up, we are looking at, I believe this is pronounced MLEM, Space Agency. And this is a
This
brand
is-
new game from Rebel Studio and the good Dr. Reiner Knizia. This is going to be a press your luck dice game for 2 to 5 players. This is due late 2023. And the idea here is that you are you're pushing your luck, like I said, with dice, trying to launch your kitty cats, your, as they're called, catstronauts. That's right.
See? Yep.
Into space, but you can decide to stay in there and keep pushing your luck, or you can jump off and hope that that mission fails. So it's this push your luck. When do I bow out of this and let everybody else continue? And if they fail, great, that's good for me because I wasn't in there. It sounds a bit to me like Cloud 9, a previous
that
game of a
one.
push your luck nature
I
in which
haven't played.
you're sharing an airship. That airship moves along, but whenever you want to, you can jump out of it. And if it then fails, you're like, woo, dodged a bullet there. You know, I'm out.
Interesting, yeah.
I love this cover. There's so much to unpack. We got a cat with a monocle. We got a calico with a spatula. This is fantastic.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot
There's
going
a lot
on
to
there.
unpack.
Yeah, and then you can look at the planets in the back, and there's one that has a paw print.
Yes.
That's part of the continent. There's another one that has an impression of a kitty cat face, a very, very Hello Kitty
This
sort of
is-
Yeah.
look to it there. So that is MLEM Space Agency. All right, next up we have a nature game here.
Yes.
Coming at
Tell
us
me more.
from, this is from
need one for my
Bezier
list.
Games. This
You
is
do.
Scram, Critters versus Campers. A new team-based card game which is going to be shipping Q3 2023. So in this one, designed by Ted Alsbach, who runs Bezier Games, you are going to team up to clear your campsite of critters. The animals are have different values. Some of them have special abilities. And you are flipping some over, flipping some back around, eventually calling Scram when you think you have the lowest total of animals. Their values add up to the lowest total in front of you. It sounds a little bit like Cabo to me, actually,
Right.
which is another game that Bezier acquired, printed, and reworked and reprinted as some of the silver games. So, yeah, this is a little more team-focused, maybe. And in fact, you can play as 1 versus 2, 2 on 2, 2 on 3, different combinations. It's also going to feature a free scoring app, as many Bezier games do. All right? That'll track your scoring, track your rounds. All right, next up, we've got Mission Control Critical Orbit. This is from publisher 3WS, that's Third World Studios, I want to say. I forget what they're called. They're mainly a graphic novel publisher.
Oh, okay.
That's what they do. And so they've worked with IDW in the past. But yeah, 3WS Games, designer Corey Andalora and Donnie Coleman. This is a cooperative title, Mission Control Critical Orbit. One player is an astronaut stuck in space after a devastating accident in space that damaged their shuttle. And the remaining players are the ground-based support in Houston, in Cologne, in a few different places around the world. Rolling dice in secret for the astronaut. Support from the other players, doing various little mini games. Again, kind of a twist on cooperation with...
Interesting.
It's like not quite an all versus one, it's like an all helping one kind of thing.
This is interesting, yeah.
It's an interesting idea. Certainly, they're trying to fix everything up there. If you do it in 20 minutes, you succeed the game. So I wonder also if it has a time element to it.
That's what it sounds like.
This is going to be getting a soft release at Origins, so you should be able to see some copies there, and then a full release at Gen Con this year.
I do like the cover on that.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful cover. You can tell that they're a company that is used to working with graphic novels and that sort of thing.
Right.
You really get that feel from that cover. So very, very cool looking, very exciting news there.
I do like the guy hanging out of the back of this spaceship there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, let's stay in space for this next one. Ooh. This is Lunar Outpost coming out from Ravensburger. And this is in conjunction with a couple of interesting entities. This is in conjunction with Amazon and Amazon Alexa, which is going to be a part of the game, a component in the game.
Oh, I don't think I like that.
Utilizing Amazon Alexa to help you play the game. And then also Nova, which is a TV program, a sort of public television program that's been around for many, many years, all about science. So this is, again, sort of in conjunction with both of those establishments. You are going to be building up habitable modules. You're going to be putting together this ever-expanding complex in space, okay? We don't know too much more about that. It sounds interesting. They've hired an actual NASA astronaut, Dan Tanney, as a consultant. So it sounds like they're doing all their homework. I'm very interested in this. I think it looks good. That image of the board itself looks fantastic. The Amazon Alexa thing is interesting. I know they've done this in the past where they would use Alexa to help you learn and help you you could ask it questions of about a game, and it would tell you the rules for something you were looking for. This, I believe, is going to have more integration there than just, hey, how do I do this?
Got it.
This is going to actually work with the game, so it's going to be a little more.
That kind of makes. I mean, you have to have it. Then it sounds like. Right. I mean, doesn't that kind of put people out of the game if they don't have that? I mean, it's like, hey, it's a $20 game, but also you have to have this. And I know you can get them on sale and stuff, but like this $50 device.
Yeah,
well, it's not very surprising that this is going to be available through Amazon because
oh, shocker.
It utilizes Alexa, so I believe it might be an Amazon exclusive at least for a bit.
The only game I played that used it a lot is you see Hey Robot, where you have a word that you have to get Alexa or Google Home to say. So you ask it a definition of something if you try to get it to say the word vampire or whatever. That's the only one. It's a clever idea.
That is, you can use any device with that. You can use the Alexa, the Google Home, the Apple Pod, something like that. Mike is saying he thinks that it's not required to play though.
They probably have an app or something.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it might be, again, it might do what some previous games have done in which it helps you learn, helps you play, but you don't need it. Anyway, this is going to be coming out in June this year, so keep an eye out for that, and hopefully some more news about it. To me, it seems really interesting. I think this is
the
very
board
cool.
looks good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This is very, very interesting looking. All right, let's move on to some reprint news, some unexpected reprint news. This is a game that's coming out from Funko, and Funko is reprinting an old Wolfgang Kramer game, a classic called Big Boss. Wolfgang Kramer, one of the most famous board game designers of all time, who's done games like Tikal, El Grande, Downforce, itself reprinted. Well, now Funko Games is reprinting this 1994 title, Big Boss. In Big Boss, which is a little bit inspired by Acquire, Sid Sackson's Acquire, very, very famous game. Players are trying to build their own business empires, founding companies, expanding companies, taking over smaller ones, and buying shares in those companies. So this new version of Big Boss is going to feature an updated board, components and art style inspired by Art Deco, as you can tell from the cover there. And the players will be able to play the original version of Big Boss using specific components and the original rules. But I guess they have some new innovations as well, and this is going to be released in June 2023. So very soon. A strange move, I have to say, for Funko, who I don't think has done anything like this before.
So similar to Acquire? So
it's similar to Acquire, sort of inspired by Acquire.
So economic?
Yeah.
Wow.
For Funko?
Right.
And a reprint.
Really?
I haven't seen them, I might be forgetting something, but I don't think I've seen them reprint anything, much less reprint a classic from the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, that is not a weird move, just a very different move.
It's a very different move for the company, so there must be something in the game that they adored, or someone at the company who really wants his back in.
Yeah, or they're just expanding, and trying something new. I mean, that's good for them.
Wow.
All right, that is Big Boss. Next up, we are also talking about a reprint. This is more of a localization, really. This is a game called something in German I will not attempt to pronounce, that is getting a printing in the U.S. The U.S. branch of Amigo is reprinting it as Pick-a-Pepper. They're changing the cover, and it's very funny. The update, the news said that they were changing the terrifying-looking, cover for a different one, which I find the new one to be equally terrifying.
Right, it is. I think it's a sideways step.
Yeah, it's a lateral move.
Yeah.
This is also a game from Wolfgang Kramer, co-designed by Wolfgang Kramer, and Christian Storr, I believe I'm saying that right, is his co-designer. This came out in late 2022 originally, and like I said, it is now changing localization and coming out in the U.S. as Pick-a-Pepper, sort of a deck building-esque economic game a little bit. You are, acquiring these peppers, trying to sort of, push your luck and make chili sauce while you're ditching all the chili cards in your deck.
How old is that, the German one? It's pretty new as
Late
well, right?
2022.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so this reprinter, I guess, bringing over is pretty quick. It's pretty hot on the heels.
I get it. Hot.
Oh,
on the heels.
Yes, I definitely meant that.
That's funny. All right, next up, we are talking about an expansion to a game that definitely needed an expansion.
Already?
Revive.
Wow.
Call of the Abyss. You know what Revive needed? More stuff. And this expansion intends to give you more stuff. Just look at the back of that box.
Gosh, that cover is gorgeous,
That cover is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I actually
Gorgeous.
like this cover much more than the original cover, which I thought was lovely, but this is a stunning looking cover.
It is
Nice.
absolutely gorgeous.
And the back of the box, though, shows you how much more content is in there.
Good
This is
grief.
a lot. It introduces the mysterious new life form, Sci-Foz, I want to say. It lives in a giant lake that is formed by the water that has melted from the glaciers in this sort of sci-fi post-apocalyptic world. You are going to be getting... You build new lakes, you build near lakes, you gain devotion points from that. You access these new powerful Sci-Foz cards. There's a lot. There's those cards, there's journey cards, there's 3 lakes, there's a devotion track. It contains 15 new machine tokens, new citizens, new tribes that the players can be. Just tons of content. All of that compatible with the solo play, by the way. And then the 4 new tribes only feature an advanced side. The original boards had a basic side with everyone being the same and an advanced asymmetric side. So these don't have the basic side anymore. You don't need that anymore, okay? Step up.
If you're getting the expansion.
If you're getting the expansion, you're already playing at the advanced side, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a ton in here for what I think might be what appears to be a fairly small box.
Looks like
There's lots in there. So if you like Revive, you're being spoiled by all of this extra content.
It seems interesting that it seems like it's a couple of new mechanisms, but also a lot of the variability as well. You're talking about the new tribes and things like that, right? So it's kind of a catch-all kind of expansion.
I have not played Revive. My wife loves it. So I'd like to, I don't know, but it's a heavy Euro, right?
It is a heavy Euro game, yes.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind trying it. This cover makes me want to try it.
Yeah, it's one I've had my eye on for ever since it came through the office. I wasn't part of the. I haven't. I wasn't part of. Oh,
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, you haven't played it yet, so you.
No, I haven't. I wasn't part of the original when it came through playing it and that and stuff. So I haven't had a chance. But because it is such a heavy, big teach, and so
Right.
just hadn't made it to the table.
All right, well, 2023 at some point, we're not sure yet. Likely Spiel. That's when you'll be able to get that. All right, next up, we've got from Darrington Press, Queen by Midnight.
Gosh, another gorgeous cover.
That looks good.
This is going to be a deck builder. This is a collaboration
Very much so.
by Darrington Press here and Critical Role. Critical Role is involved. They are, well, you know who they are probably, but they are an RPG show. And so they are very much involved in this. This one is going to be, let's see, the Queen, the Midnight Queen is dead, and her dying command was to invoke Rule by Midnight, a trial where 6 princesses meet in secret to battle and scheme against one another. So at the stroke of midnight, the most powerful one left standing will be crowned the new Midnight Queen. It's sort of a battle royale deck building game. Each character, each princess is going to have unique tactics, a starting deck with some different abilities. The centerpiece this is only descriptive so far, so we haven't been able to see this, but this is very inspiring. The centerpiece of this game is a clock dice tower that tracks turns, offers cards to buy, and rolls your dice while spinning to face each player on their turn.
So electronic? There's a lot to
That's my question too. I don't know, right? When I read that, I go, wait, like a big giant Dark Tower thing that actually spins?
But then
But it might not be. It might simply be a thing that we can spin and roll dice into and draw cards from.
But I'm also wondering then, like, what the board looks like, because is it going to be something like Frostpunk, for example, if you have a big dice tray in the middle, or I'm sorry, dice tower in the middle, is it going to get in the way visually?
Well, I think it's mostly a card game, so they might not get in the way. This is the deck building game. But I'm just curious as to what that thing is going to be.
Right.
What is this clock, dice tower, card dispensing, dice rolling thing? I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
But I'm curious.
And I will say, if it's got that consistent artwork through it, I'd look at it, because that's really
absolutely.
nice.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, there's it features artwork from a team of Michal Ivan, Mike Pape, and Amira Sheik, which is just, stunning artwork. And by the way, the game is designed by Kyle Shire.
How long does it say? 60 to 90 minutes? It's hard to see.
It says 60 to 90, 3 to 6 players, ages 12 and up. Yep.
Okay.
So there we go. Yeah, it's a stunning cover.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very interested. All right, next up, in more reprint news, we've got Bonanza Dahlias. This is a reprint of the classic Uwe Rosenberg game Bonanza, but the beans are out and the flowers are in. Nature, baby. Wait, aren't beans already nature?
They are.
They are, yeah.
I would say so, but I get outvoted.
Yeah, you're not sure about that.
Do they have beans on Mars?
So this is the same game, same original concept, 3 to 5, the usual original sort of Bonanza, with a whole new coat of paint, a beautiful coat of paint from Beth Sobel. And you're still wheeling and dealing, collecting these flowers, selling lots of them for victory points. Bonanza's been around for a long, long time. It's an old classic, a standby, and it's being reworked to hopefully appeal to a wider market, plus striking while the iron's hot, because this theme is very popular right now.
Yeah.
Apparently this came about because Beth Sobel approached the company with the idea of creating a flower-themed version of Bonanza.
Oh, interesting.
And they went ahead and decided to give that a try. So,
oh, that's cool.
No beans, no bean-related puns like the original game, just pretty flowers, and again, the idea of a maybe more relatable, easier for everybody sort of theme.
Right.
So there you go. That is the new Bonanza. Next up, we had a big announcement from Garfield Games.
Yes.
I am certainly the wrong person to cover all this. Mike DeLisio is spinning in his chair right now. What am I going to say? Grave? He's not dead. But I'll go ahead and do the best I can here. So the first one is Shipwrights of the North Sea here, Redux, is a reworking of Shipwrights of the North Sea. And this was the first game that they put out. And it is by far seen as sort of the weakest of them all. Yes. It was an early attempt. It was one that didn't really, it sort of doesn't fit in with the rest of this superb line and sort of the respected gardeners. Well, they've gone back to the drawing board and given it another go. And it really, from what I understand, the game is pretty much different. They tried this already once, and that became that sort of, a wall was hit in the design process. But that became that Legacy of You game, I want to say.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And then they've gone back. Shem Phillips has gone back to the drawing board, tried it again, and now is coming out with a reworked version of that. So Shipwrights of the North Sea is not one I think I've played, but now that there's a new Redux one that brings it up to speed, I'll probably try to give this one a go.
That's really cool.
So there we go. That's coming out. And then we've got, from the same company, another piece of news, the collector's box of Explorers of the North Sea. This is going to allow you to store the original game and its one expansion. The main thing here is that Garfield is working with Black Magic Games, which is an offshoot of Game Trays, to offer trays and an insert solution right in the box, something they haven't done in the past. This is the first time they're offering this in one of these big boxes. So you'll be able to put the box, the box's contents in there, the original game, the expansion, and have everything nice and tidy in the one container.
I think that'll be interesting to see how that affects the other games, like if the insert is done well and well received, because that is one thing they're kind of notorious for, is so many components in a smaller box.
Yep.
And people appreciate the smaller box, but it also means it's very tricky to store it, to get everything in. Expansions or upgrade anything, it's really tricky. So, I think that's going to be interesting for the longer term, what this means and how this is accepted.
Right. Do we get inserts, do we get this sort of treatment for later games as they get expansions, as they, perhaps offer a big box solution.
Right.
So very interesting. And then one final one from the same company again, Garfield. This is a new title in their historical line. And you'll recognize the style on the cover to match Legacy of You and those other ones. So this one is sort of a sequel to Raiders of Scythia. It features that same iconic artwork from Sam Phillips, who is Shem Phillips' brother, I believe. This new title, Ezra and Nehemiah, take place about 100 years after Scythia, a heavy Euro title about the Israelites leaving Babylonia in 539 BC and working to rebuild the walls and temple at Jerusalem. So players are going to be working together to rebuild parts of the city, but compete to be the first to in specific sort of mini games and categories. Sam McDonald commented that this is the quintessential Shem and Sam game, featuring many of the mechanisms and trade qualities of their design style. So it almost sounds like a bit of a celebration of what Garfield Games does and is known for doing. So very really interesting. Cool. This one's going to play 1 to 4 players, plays in about 2 hours. It's coming to Kickstarter in October.
Oh, Kickstarter. Okay.
All right.
That'll be fun.
So there you go. And then one last piece of news, a very big announcement. This is an announcement from Arcane Wonders, working in conjunction with Activision for Call of Duty, the board game. So Call of Duty, the board game is, of course, based on the beyond popular Call of Duty license, only second to Hello Kitty. And in this one, you're going to take the role of elite soldiers battling each other in intense, fast-paced action set in the iconic maps from the Call of Duty video games. You can expect here some high-quality components, miniatures, with the soldiers, weapons, the weapons that they feature in the franchise. So the gameplay, from what we understand so far, will feature a variety of scenarios and modes that allow players to share the excitement of Call of Duty in a whole new way. So scenarios, miniatures, different weapons, what have you. This is going to go to Kickstarter fall 2023 and should be coming out worldwide to retail 24.
I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Call of Duty is a very, very strong license. Yes. A lot of people do know it. A lot of people love that setting and those games. So, yeah.
And then Hello Kitty stretch goal is going to be great.
Yeah, crossover pack in the works now. You heard it here first.
No, I'm excited about this one. I don't play the game. It's one I can't follow that makes me really dizzy, but I always really liked it and liked the look of it and the lore of it. You know, that kind of, I really enjoyed my brothers playing this game. So, I'm really excited about this.
Well, the board game should make you way less dizzy.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, kind of like the Dead by Daylight, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm really a big fan of those.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right. Well, there we go, folks. That is the news.